Hello everyone, and welcome to the energy forecast for January 2016. We made it to 2016 and we got through 2015. So please join me in taking a breath to just be present. And now a breath to take in and release 2015. And now a breath to invite 2016 in. One of the big themes for 2016 will be boldness. This was something that kept coming to me over and over again as I was tuning in on a message for you today. The theme of boldness will show up a great deal in 2016. So this will mean you personally will have the capacity and the growth lessons to help you become more bold in your life, your way of living, and your way of being present as a conscious, fully functioning being. It will also mean that boldness will be a theme on the world stage. So I think we're already seeing this happening on the world stage, particularly those last few months of 2015. Bold and sometimes aggressive, destructive actions that are designed to put the collective into chaos, designed to bring chaos and fear to the collective, often taken as revenge. So anybody who acts destructively towards another being is taking inner pain, inner turmoil and projecting it outward, whether they're doing that one-on-one in an argument or whether they're doing that to a group of people as an aggressive or destructive act. But also the chaos that comes from rising consciousness on a planet and a great history of pain, suffering, and war on a planet that has to be purged and experienced as consciousness rises. So it's not an easy dance, and it's not a dance that will ever make sense if you look at one component aspect of your life journey or of what's going on out in the world there. But it can start to make sense if you think and act locally. So this is the overwhelming message for January. How small, simple, and local can you keep your actions, your focus, and your way of being? It's very overwhelming to those of us in the 21st century who suddenly have this enormous amount of information, stimulation, and awareness of what's going on in other parts of the world in a way that our parents and our grandparents did not have. It has become very quickly a global world, and there is a wonder and a connectivity in that, and there is a horror and a shock in that too. And even though many of you are now getting a bit more used to dancing through that and finding your position and your new way of being as you are aware of the multidimensionality of what's going on in the planet, it can still be a lot for the system to take in. It can be a lot for us as human beings, conscious beings, spiritual beings to allow to settle into ourselves and into our awareness. So overwhelm is still going to be a theme for many of you. You know, these are overwhelming times. And so finding the simple, achievable ways of stepping out of overwhelm are going to be very important. For example, some of you, particularly in the spirit of New Year's resolutions, you may have this idea that you need to sign up for a 6-month course or, throw $8,000 down on this coaching course or whatever it is that you are feeling you need to do that is big and dramatic and strong. Just check that in yourself, because for a few of you that might be true, but for most of you that will be you trying to extend too far into something that isn't very achievable, partly because of your reaction to this chaos energy. The truth is that the best way to deal with chaos energy is to keep it small, simple, one step, one day at a time. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and you feel like you aren't doing a great job of looking after yourself at the moment, just think, what's the one thing I can add to my daily routine right now that will help? That could be nutritional, it could be exercise or outdoors time based, it could be a spiritual practice, it could be agreeing to watch a 2-minute YouTube video that makes you feel better every day, it could be watching comedy. Doesn't matter what it is, and don't get into judging what it is. Just in this moment, think to yourself, what is the one thing that you know makes you feel better? Bring it into your mind and your awareness. If you have a pen and paper handy, write it down or type it in your computer if you're watching this on a computer or even on a smartphone. It's important for you to start to know what it is you need on a daily basis, because January is a month of really strong energies, but not necessarily strong in a horizontal explosive way. We had a lot of that in November and the earlier part of December. What January is going to do is give you a chance to truly expand horizontally if you want to, using your spiritual connection. But where those two meet is in your daily practice and your daily actions. So you may have a story that you've avoided doing something for 4 years, and that's kind of exhausting, you know, to know in your head, oh, I never do that thing. So you've got two options. You can either agree to try it this month or agree to let it go and to stop thinking you need to do it, because obviously you don't. You're actually more invested in your attachment to the story and the disappointment that you feel when you replay that story than you are invested in actually creating that action in your life. So just acknowledge that, and it may initially feel a little heavy to you to go, oh my God, I'm more invested in disappointing myself or repetitively playing out self-judgment. But there's also a liberation that comes when we can be that honest with ourselves about what our addictions are, whether our addictions are to a certain energy or whether our addictions are to a certain pattern or a certain substance or a certain doing. There is an enormous amount of energy that gets released into your body when you start to be really honest with yourself about why you aren't doing the things you aren't doing, and just recognizing that and going, oh, I'm not doing that thing, and I've been saying I'll be doing it for years. I think the reason this is coming to me intuitively is I think this is a reaction to all of that January New Year resolution energy, which can be a wonderful thing and it can be really powerful, but it can also be a real guilt trip for a lot of people. So if you've already started to notice that you're failing at your New Year's resolutions, let your New Year's resolution be to not mind what you do and to not judge yourself, because that's a really important power for us as human beings. If we stop judging our behavior and believing that we're right about what we perceive we're doing wrong, an enormous amount of spiritual, psychic, and mental energy frees up. So if you make one commitment to yourself this year, agree to be kinder and more loving to yourself. Here's why. It will come across to others in such a beneficial way. So there are people who go, oh, it's so selfish to practice self-love. That's kind of idiocy to say that. Excuse me for being strong, but I've heard that from so many people who are very unloving people to others in their life. And if only those people would be more self-loving, not only would they free themselves from a lot of that pain, but they also would be putting a nicer energy out into the world. We can't do it every day. We're human. We have our moments. We meet our compressions. We meet our contractions. But if we hold that as an aim, so if your New Year's resolution was, I'm going to be more loving and more kind to myself, the great bonus of you doing that is you will naturally want to be that way to the rest of the world in a stronger way than ever before. So the chaos that you can sometimes feel and the overwhelm you can sometimes feel is, and this is not so much a January 2016 thing, but it's just yet again this theme of the last few years. As consciousness rises, it is very multidimensional, which means you can go through so many things in one day that you didn't used to go through a few years ago. And that in itself can be quite a lot for a system to take in. The body, the mind, the energy body, your spiritual self, the whole caboodle gets reworked. So there's a lot of chaos. There's chaos outside, there's chaos within, and the way to let chaos settle is to keep breathing and to come back to your body and know that our bodies were designed to handle this. It's a lot to take in, but we were designed for this period of time that we incarnated into. We just perhaps didn't realize it was going to be such a stretch. So for those of you who are feeling more balanced than you ever have, January is going to be a wonderful time to really get to play with life, to recognize the synchronicities and the magical connections that can happen when you get into that balanced place, because you have the skills to acknowledge, wow, just last week I was really wanting to have more space in my life and I'm paying attention, and this week 3 things got cancelled, something over here moved out, and then this person offered me this great opportunity that I can go and experience myself in a spacious way over here on a Tuesday night. So what you have to get honest about is how much are you tracking the improvements that you say you want. Because sometimes, and this goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, we can get attached to wanting improvements, and telling everyone we're wanting improvements, but we don't really, because those improvements would create an alchemical change in our body that we are afraid to go through. Who would you be if you let go of your habitual fear, your habitual worry? Who would you be with your parent if you didn't show up at their door and go into that immediate pattern of you're silent while they moan at you about who you are? Or you go to them and you moan at them about who you are, because that's what you do with them. That's the script that the 2 of you have got. So change is extraordinarily powerful, and I think in the seductive mind, or in, you know, an uplifting or an inspiring quote, we touch the surface of how attractive change is. But actual change that takes place in the body, the whole of your life becoming quite different because the whole of your inner self is being invited into transformation, that's quite a strong process to go through. And so this is why we need support from each other. This is why we need support from inside ourselves. And those of you who are ready to really go there in the month of January, it's going to be supercharged for you. It doesn't mean that your outer world will explosively change in January. That's not so much the energy of this month. This month is very much an inner month for you to really consolidate and move new energy into your body, so that over the spring months, or if you're on the other hemisphere of the world and the one I'm in, your winter, you will start to notice a change happening for you in terms of what you can create in the outer world. But January is going to be a very strong internal month. So you can consolidate and master chaos and your relationship to chaos. You can also have an experience where you start to live in a freer, more present way, in a smaller way inside yourself. And you can look at changing those scripts a little bit. And it might not be that you take the action to change the script this month, but using the inner energy of January is the perfect time to get really honest with yourself about what is it you would like to leave behind that isn't just a New Year's resolution, but is a life template. Something that you recognize in yourself has perhaps kept you staying smaller or a little more limited than you would like to be as you move forward. I recognize that everything I've just said is a little more complex than perhaps I would have liked it to be for this message, but I will tell you that this is about my 12th attempt to record this energy forecast. I tried about 6 times yesterday, and this is about the 6th time today. And I was actually going to abandon doing it because it just wouldn't come together. And then I stepped back and realized, well, everything is so chaotic right now. There are so many things going on around us. How do you bring all that into the body and let it be there? So I decided to give myself permission to just record you a video saying anything. And of course, with giving myself that permission, it was easy to give you more of a traditional energy forecast than I thought was possible. But I had to strip away everything that I perceived and get very simple. And I think January just did that to me, and I think that's what it's going to be calling for a lot of us who are aware and sensitive. There are all of these layers of energy coming in now, but they require us to forget what we thought we knew and approach things in the simplest way possible, because things are quite complex out there at the moment. So there is an opportunity for us to harness the power of simplicity and presence. So I hope you all have a great month, and It's been nice to show up and see you this month through this lens that I get to see you through, and hearing how you all are. And I'm really looking forward to meeting those of you in Australia who are coming out to my Energy Tune-Up evening events and the weekend workshop Revolutionary Love. So I will be in Byron Bay, Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. All details are on the website leeharrisenergy.com. And I will also get to meet some of you in person in New York. We have just announced my evening event, Energy Tune-Up, is coming to New York on Friday, February the 19th. So I'll look forward to meeting some of you East Coasters that night. And finally, this month in the portal, the new MP3 is Mastering Chaos, which was recorded in December, and I now understand why a bit more. It was slightly ahead of the curve. So that's an energy journey and also a channel about the experience of chaos in your life and how to harness it and be within it. So that's available free for portal members, and it's also available in the store this month should you want to check it out. Final message from me is just a big thank you to all of you who send in lovely messages, and those of you who also send in financial donations to support the making and presentation of these videos. It means a lot, and I look forward to serving you again this year in all of the new ways that I'm sure 2016 will bring for me and for you. Lots of love, everybody. Take care.